Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to the podcast. I've got Nicole Hilgenkamp coming to us from Nebraska, and she is unlocking business potential through AI and operational excellence. She's got a fantastic story from the corporate to being an entrepreneur. I'm really happy to have her on and happy to welcome her to the show to showcase the amazing work that she's doing. So, Nicole, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so briefly introduce yourself, your story, your background, and we'll get started.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Hilgenkamp. I've been in corporate America for over 30 years for some of the largest private and publicly held companies. A lot of that has all been in operations and it's still working primarily in the enterprise space today for a large food company, but also looking to get more AI engagement with small businesses because it is really important that at all sectors of the business, people start to engage with AI and become AI enabled. It is our future, but what inspires me around AI is it's unlike what we've had in the past when the internet boom took off or when we've all moved to smartphones. It's not as intuitive and showing up in your lifestyle as much as what the individual needs to do to engage themselves with artificial intelligence. You really have to come out of your comfort zone and determine how you and how AI will help enable you to strategically think and or grow your personal and professional life as well as your business objectives. So I've seen just a lot of slow adoption since this really started to boom in 2022. And it's now at warp speed and it's a bit overwhelming. And I think we're losing a lot of engagement due to the fact that just people don't know where to start. But everyone needs to start in order to in order to compete in the marketplaces and enhance their personal engagements with family and friends.
Yeah, really great introduction, and I'm really excited to delve into this, especially and so I want to start with a really broad overview. And if you look at what the internet did and built some of the world's most valuable companies with search and then with mobile and social media and cloud, and looking at all the things that happened over the last 24 years, how does this AI revolution compare to what we've seen over the last 24 years?
Oh, it is just, it is mind blowing what this can do and what it can do today. Tomorrow is obsolete. That's how fast this is going. And I think it's the largest learning curve for individuals and businesses because there's a lot of fear in regards to how much privacy and ethics and where it's going to go. That one, people are scared of it, but two is if we don't AI enable ourselves, all as individuals, our lifestyles will be just so much more. I don't know how we will continue to survive with how fast others are enabling. So it's the only big hang up is that it's a pull technology. You got to go in and you got to immerse yourself. It's not going to show up on your desktop. It's not going to show up on your phone. It's not going to show up in your connections with friends, but it is going to show up. And when it does show up, you just want to make sure you have a seat at the table and you can understand those around you. The world has changed so fast that it was what is currency is almost now people's attention. That time is so limited. And that's what I really love about AI is that it is the quickest plug and play. You can get enabled as easy as within the next hour, and then you could just continue to grow and enrich from there based on what your business or personal needs are.
Yeah, that's very insightful. And sounds like, given what we've seen over the last 24 years, sounds like this AI thing is going to be compressed, and the magnitude of the changes, magnitude of order of scale with what we've seen thus far, very So my next, and I really love this idea where you talked about attention as currency, and then people are saying like data and energy and how you train these models and just like the compute that is going to be so key, and that's why chips and all of this. So a follow-up question to you is, we'll start at the individual level, and it's people that are not embracing this technology, that are scared of it, are in big trouble. So, and then basically the people that are, what I've seen is there's this inequality. People that have access to AI and know how to use it are gonna use it to accumulate more and more wealth and power for themselves, whereas people that don't know where to start or just hide their heads in the sand are gonna suffer. So how do you address this inequality?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's where we definitely will find ourselves is with that disparity. And that's why I like coming and talking as much as I possibly can, especially in the small business sectors. Even in the large enterprises, you're not seeing that as much adoption. There's studies that show CEOs, 80% of them say it's going to change their business, but yet their involvement is less than 20%. As an individual, it's starting to show up a bit more on people's mobile devices and in the computers, but they really don't understand what that's necessarily happening to them. And that's why, as much as we can possibly to talk about it and to get people AI enabled is what I call it. Everyone needs to AI enable themselves. And this isn't a case where the older generation just doesn't know how to work with social media, right? This is a case where everyone's going to need, all generations are going to need to understand it and in order to interact with it. It's smarter than anyone in existence today. It's harnessed every IQ out there, and it really could, not only when you say there's disparity of accumulating great wealth for those that understand it. There's a social economical aspect of what it can do for us scientifically and how we can progress as a social global organization towards good, right? So it can bridge that gap. We just got to get more people engaged with it. And the more adoption there is, the more some of those thought leaders are going to start to harness that power towards some of one, bridging that gap, and then two, just groundbreaking discoveries on how they can utilize it for. I don't, the use cases are endless. Yes, people would utilize it to gain, people would utilize it to enrich their interactions with each other. People will hopefully use it for good, how to feed the world, how to, let's look at what we can do with some of the world problems that we have today. Let's look at how we bring the world closer together. There's just so many things you can do. So it's all right now, a lot of word of mouth and really demystifying AI is how every company should be looking at it, is to get involved, demystify it, and start to AI enable. And it's a very easy to do that. And it just is a matter of taking that first step.
Yeah, and I was talking with another colleague right before you also about AI, and he was saying there's going to be use cases that we don't even know of yet that's going to affect industries we don't know of yet. It's how Uber and Lyft or Airbnb or DoorDash kind of these emerged that we never even saw when websites and apps were there, and just being able to globally connect people. So one thing that you talked about is this statistic that 80% of CEOs say that AI is very important, but 20% they just sounds like they're just oblivious. What are some of the common misconceptions people have, and how can leaders address these so that we can get to that 80% that are actually doing something to stay afloat?
Yeah. First and foremost, one is I think a lot of large companies are hiding this in their IT departments. And this isn't an IT solution. It is a solution for the CEO from a strategic thinking perspective and driving the company's trajectory and business growth. And that is what I see as a gap with our C-suite is that those leaders think it's the technology. And you could say that, but it's not to be hidden in the in the IT department. It really is to be at all levels of the organization. Most importantly, the C-suite. There's a really great book out there called The AI Driven Leader by Jeff Woods, where he talks about the C-suite utilizing it as their strategic partner. What better way to gain the knowledge of all of those that have come before us that is out there and can be on your desktop against your business product objectives to determine if they are fit for purpose, if they're sustainable, if they're going to work even, and where are your blind spots. And so definitely in the C suite as a strategic partner to interview yourself and to determine if you're on the right path or if there's any blind spots that you would have in your strategies, but then all the way down to every single desktop on how to research, how to write, how to do it really will help in everything. There's a lot about AI and marketing, which is great. AI and marketing because it definitely is going to change the way in which we market. It's going to change the way what we do copywriting, what we do with imagery, audio, video, etc. And a lot of jobs will be replaced, but I'm a huge proponent of human in the loop and that even though jobs would be replaced by artificial intelligence, there, like you said, with Airbnb and DoorDash, et cetera, there will be as many new types of roles available for those individuals that we just don't even fathom yet. We just can't even fathom what those roles will be. And that's why it's important for everyone to get engaged with learning about AI so that they can get into what is the next generation of future work.
So well said. And the other startling statistic that I saw on Twitter from Peter Diamandis, and he was saying that over 78% of like the C-suite, the executives, they believe that the AI is going to get so good that it's going to actually, because right now, like things that are like routine or repetitive, just things you can like admin type things, these are getting replaced by AI. But he's saying that Gen AI is going to be so good that it's going to be able to rival the level of human creativity and judgment and just contextual, like situational awareness, like things that, like empathy, and that kind of middle management or C-suite will just get crushed. What are your thoughts?
If the C-suite embraces it, there's always going to be a need for a human in the loop. There's always going to be a need for emotional and conscience and areas that AI will never be able to replace. And I just would like to see the suite more so utilize AI as their partner, as their strategic partner, as their board member, as their another member on, as for instance, as in their chief growth officer, and having AI play more of that role because you're harnessing the talents of everyone that came before you. You're harnessing the talents, collective talents of individuals that all have come before us. And if you pull all of those strengths together, you really will have a powerhouse on how to lead. So great. This will allow great leaders to be the greatest, quite frankly, because they'll be able to harness great leadership if they harness it. There will be leaders that will not be able to understand its power, and those would be the leaders that will not be able to continue to compete. And so I think you're going to see some of those organizations, if they don't adopt artificial intelligence and if they don't know how to utilize it to be strategic partners and to leverage its knowledge and its capability, because you just mentioned AI is good for repetitive tasks. And that's why I think a lot of people think it's a technology solution. It really is much more than that. It is the smartest person in the room because it's every person in the room before us, all the history lessons, all the best of every talent that could have been out there writing books, writing white papers, doing research, etc., and being able to then leverage that to say, how can that army of people, that army of knowledge help me achieve the great for my company and my purpose? And that's where I hope that those companies that do impactful world things like feed the world, take care of the world, manage our health systems, manage our education systems, that they are looking at how to utilize AI with a human in the loop to the best of those abilities and for the good of humankind.
And the a follow-up question I have for you, because you mentioned this area where you have to have a human touch, and I love hearing the word never, because just like human, like this never and always, it's just quite interesting to listen to. And so balancing like human touch with AI, the first question is balancing efficiency. Like the AI is going to be really efficient, but you also need that human touch and that human empathy. How do companies maintain a balance between operational efficiency and just cohesive teamwork and good customer service?
Yeah, I think what every company and large company needs to really understand, as well as some of the smallest, is the data privacy and ethics around sharing proprietary and or, for instance, customer files, personal files, for medical records, any of those things that are personal that could be used for wrong. So you really have to understand the ethical aspects of artificial intelligence. Yeah, you would like to utilize the power of it along with complementing what your business and or as an individual you do. Because as soon as you enter in information that is company specific and proprietary or personal, then it's really like really hard to unteach the model that they saw it, that they leveraged it, that they have it. First and foremost, I would want those large companies that look to infuse their data as in order to have AI complement it, to look at the right guardrails and the right regulations and set some ethical standards for yourself and or your company and to make sure that you're well protected depending on the type of data that you're going to leverage. Now, if you're only using it for its thought leadership, then now that's where everyone can play. Everyone can go work with AI and have it give you great advice, have it interview you, have it provide you information. But we just need everyone to get involved. And I mentioned education. This is going to change how we learn. Before we would study hours and hours for exams, or we would go to English compensation class. And now AI writes everything for you with the best grammatical, best copywriting, best marketing type strategies. Anything that you're looking to write, it can do for you, which means then now I'm not going to learn how to compose in the language in a way for my own knowledge. I won't have a need for that. That's where I would suggest that people, one, really take a step back to think about it. If they start to look at how they're going to utilize data within it and understanding how to do that safely. If you're not going to use it for data, then I would start to get it in the hands of everyone in your company so that and or within your family. I talk to my daughters about like the Google, don't say Google it anymore. That doesn't exist in our family. We're a Perplexity family, and I say, let's go Plex that. Let's go see what Plex has to say about that. And when I say that, let's go leverage Perplexity to understand and learn about what we're inspiring to learn about. And that definitely needs to be looked at. And then you're going to, hopefully, those leaders in those spaces like education and health and even fair hiring practices, et cetera, are going to be able to understand what is true, what is not true, and where their moral compasses are that they need to set parameters around.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a very fascinating topic. The next, talking about this, I know we have 1 or 2 minutes remaining, and what I really did is I love your approach and your experience and your knowledge around there. Rounding it out, you've had a really interesting journey and you've done a lot. And so, what advice would you give to people who are interested in building careers in AI or digital transformation, especially those kind of transitioning or re-entering or pivoting? And how can people find you and follow you and learn more from you?
Love to get followed on LinkedIn. My name's again Nicole Hilgenkamp. Nicole, last name Hilgenkamp. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm constantly watching what's happening in AI. I would encourage everyone also to sign up for at least one artificial intelligence newsletter. There's a bazillion out there to keep up on every day what's happening, because something is happening absolutely every day. And if there's, if you haven't started yet, if you haven't started down the journey of immersing into artificial intelligence, just start with some of whatever you're familiar with, large language model, and some of those would be Google's Gemini, Perplexity, or OpenAI's ChatGPT. Those are there's also a great one called Claude. They all do. They all have their pros and cons. It's what you feel comfortable with, but start to get comfortable with understanding how to connect, which is not as easy as it used to be. There's a prompt that you will need to put in order to get good results back, and learning how to prompt to get those results is also a learning curve. But start with that. Follow me on LinkedIn. I'd love to see you on LinkedIn. I'd also love to see you. Everyone sign up for an AI newsletter and to immerse themselves in one of the large language models that are out there that I mentioned.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that and really enlightening conversation, and the listeners got a lot of value, deliver a lot of value to the audience. And thanks so much for coming on, and keep up the fantastic work.
Great. Great. Thank you, everyone. Go and AI enable yourself.